So the New York Knicks beat the Atlanta Hawks twice this year, and in both times, they went by 3 points or less. So when the book opens game one of the Knicks-Hawks series at -5.5, you got to ask yourself, why is the market asking you to lay 5.5? Do they know something we don't? Hey, it's Joe Raineri, WagerTalk.com, and welcome to the NBA playoffs. No more tanking teams. We finally look like we're going to get a couple of competitive series here, and we're going to dive in first and foremost with that Hawks-Knicks game, -5.5. That's what it opened up at. We're sitting at 216.5 right now, and the first thing that I noticed was the total has been sliding down all week. Opened up at 217.5. Now we're seeing 216.5. So the market has been quietly pushing this lower, but the side still sitting right there, -5.5. So the book is telling you that the scoring environment is going down, but they're not moving off the New York covering by 6 or more. So that's asking you to pay for a blowout in a game that's looked like a street fight every single time these two teams have been on the floor together. Now, here's what makes this harder than the number suggests, because Atlanta plays fast. They're the 5th fastest pace in the league this year. The Knicks, well, they play slow. 25th, in fact. That's not a coaching thing. That's just how Jalen Brunson plays, because New York likes to grind it out in the half court, and the slower this game goes, the more comfortable that they are. But here's the thing. The Pacers pushed pace against the Knicks last postseason, and boy, did that make them look bad. So Atlanta, I got to think they're going to be doing the exact same thing. They run, they pressure the ball, they get out before you can set your defense, and both Brunson and Cat have had real problems defending the pick and roll all season long. So if Atlanta gets this game going up and down the floor, 5.5 is going to get real uncomfortable real fast. Now, here's where this game is actually going to be won or lost, though. It's going to be Jalen Johnson against whoever New York throws at him, because Jalen Johnson averaged 22.5 points, 8 assists on the season. He really was the engine that made it roll for Atlanta. And against the Knicks this year, 17.5 points a game. 5 points below his average, and New York still couldn't beat them by more than 3. So the Knicks, they've got Anunoby, they've got Bridges, they've got Hart that they can throw at him, and if Anunoby is healthy, and that's their best shot at keeping Johnson from taking over. But the moment he starts getting downhill on any of them, he doesn't need 25. He just needs to keep Atlanta close enough to make that number sweat. And on the other side, well, Daniels on Brunson, to me, is the matchup this whole series is going to turn on, because nobody is stopping Brunson. But if Daniels makes him work for every single possession and forces tough looks late in the clock, well, that's how Atlanta keeps Brunson from just putting this game away in the fourth quarter. And here's one more thing, by the way, I wanted you to think about, because Atlanta finished 6th in three-point shooting this year at 37%. The Knicks, 20th in opponent three-point percentage this year. That's a bad combination when you are laying points like this. Alexander Walker went 5 of 11 from 3 in the last game alone. McCollum, we all know he can get hot from deep at any particular point. So if Atlanta gets the ball moving and starts knocking down these threes, and the Knicks can win this game and still not cover, and that's the problem. Now, look, I get why you want New York here, right? Karl Anthony Towns averaged 28.5 points against Atlanta this year, shot 63% against them. If he gets going early and New York wins the glass, well, then you got Mitchell Robinson off the bench, who is the best offensive rebounder on either team. Well, then the Knicks absolutely have the firepower to pull away. But here's what I keep coming back to. 2 games this year, 2 finishes decided by 3 points or less. The market hasn't seen one piece of evidence that New York blows Atlanta out here. And they want you to lay 5.5 in the meantime. I can't. I'm on the other side. I think the Hawks plus 5.5. I think it's playable to plus 5. And keep an eye on Anunoby before tip, because we keep hearing not 100%. And if he's less than that, or if there's any questions about his health, well, then I'm going to want even more points. Who are we kidding here? So that's game one. I'm going to take the points with the Atlanta Hawks there. And I do think if Atlanta wins and covers, Atlanta is likely getting this total up and over. Now, we got one more game we're going to go over. And before we do, I just want to ask you to hit that thumbs up, hit that like button, become part of the WagerTalk TV family, especially if you guys like these kinds of breakdown and matchup previews. As in fact, I have a game, a huge game, coming up this weekend in the NBA. It's one of my rare 5% max plays I'm going to tell you about at the end of this. But right now, let's head to Cleveland, can we, for the early game? Because the Raptors and the Cavaliers could very well be the best play on the board. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because Cleveland finished this season 33-49 against the spread. That was the worst spread record in the entire NBA. So that means they won games all year, but they almost never covered the number. So when the book has this game sitting at the Cavs -8, 8.5, does it really matter what their ATS record was? Well, let's dive in and find out, because here's where the number stands right now. Still seeing 8, 8.5, the total 219.5, and it hasn't moved all week. The book moved this from an open of -7, 7.5 to -8, then -8.5, a little bit of buyback, but they haven't touched the total at all. They pushed the margin number up without telling you anything changed about how this game is actually going to be played. And that, to me, is the tell right there. And I am not laying 8.5 points on a team that has spent all season not covering. Now, I hear you. If you're sitting there thinking Cleveland just rolls Toronto here, but let's talk about what this team actually is. Because Toronto did sweep them 3 times this season, but every single one of those games, well, that happened before Cleveland traded for James Harden in February, and also Donovan Mitchell didn't play in one of those games. So throw those games out. They happened early in the year, and they mean nothing. The only thing that means anything right now is what is Toronto taking on in this game. What they're taking on is Donovan Mitchell and James Harden in the same backcourt. 2 guys who can each create their own shot whenever they need to. And then you got Evan Mobley protecting everything at the rim behind them, along with Jarrett Allen. So Cleveland, yes, Cleveland's going to win this game. I'm not arguing that. What I'm arguing is 8.5 points. So here's where this game gets decided. Because Toronto's whole case comes down to one problem Cleveland has really no clean answer for. Brandon Ingram against whoever they put on him. Ingram is 6'7", 6'8". He can shoot over the smaller guards that they have. He can get to the rim against slower forwards. So if Cleveland puts a guard on him, well, he's going to the basket. If they pull Mobley out of the paint and guard him on the perimeter, well, now you've got, Barnes and Jakob Poeltl there. They've got a lane to the rim with their best shot blocker now out of the way. So there is no clean answer for them when it comes to Brandon Ingram. And I think that's how Toronto is going to stay in this game. And on the other end, Barnes is going to make Donovan Mitchell work. He can guard anybody, and Mitchell is going to see more resistance than he's used to from most guards in this league. That doesn't mean Mitchell doesn't score. He's going to score. But if Barnes makes him burn clock on every possession and Toronto can push pace off of those Cleveland turnovers before the Cavs get set, well, 8.5 is very much alive in this game. And here's the number nobody seems to be talking about. Cleveland's point differential dropped from plus 9.5 last year down to plus 4 this season. So the market is still pricing them like it's last year's team. They are not last year's team. And Toronto, 22-19 on the road this year. They know how to play in somebody else's building. They're not walking into Rocket Arena and falling apart. I don't think so. Now, I know what the Cleveland side is going to say, right? If you're backing the Cavs, you're going to say the Cavs went 8-2 against a number in their last 10 games. They're in great form. The Harden fit started clicking late. I get it. That's real, and I'm not pretending otherwise. But one thing I need you to watch before tip is Emmanuel Quigley here and his day-to-day status with this hamstring. He's the guy that the Toronto offense runs through. Now, without him, Barnes and Ingram are going to have to carry everything by themselves against Mobley and company, and that's going to get a little bit harder. But if Quigley is in, if he plays, if he's healthy enough to play, I think that 8.5 points has got some value. So, to me, Raptors plus 8.5, 8, I think it's playable to 7.5 is not a bad way to look. But keep an eye on Quigley before tip, because if he plays and you can get the 8 and 8.5, I think you got yourself a really good deal there. I also think, again, correlated here, I do think points are coming in this game. I do think an over is absolutely in play. So, and I think either team, whether it be the Cavs that you like or Toronto, I think the over is absolutely in play in this game here. So there you got it. We are on the Hawks plus the points. We are on Toronto plus the points, and we like overs in both games there. Now, I told you guys that it has been one heck of a regular season for us in the NBA this year. We landed over 25 units of profit in over 200 plays this season, and the playoffs are going to be even better, especially in one game that I had circled for a while and was hoping that we would get. And I made a rare 5% max bet on this play. And I say rare because over the last 365 days of top plays, I have had 29 total of these plays across every sport. So close to 1,000 plays here over the year. And yes, just 29 of these. I'm 20-9, nearly 70% of these max bet plays. So needless to say, when I have one, it's for good reason. And you can head over to my page, WagerTalk.com, right now and grab it. Use the shortcut code, WT.buzz/JR. Check out the links. They're all in the description below. There is no reason not to partner up on this play or really all my top plays at WagerTalk. We've got a great all-access pass that will get you every play that we have got here across the board. Every sport, too. Not to mention Major League Baseball, one of my favorite sports to handicap. We hit over 62% last season, and we are off to another great start this season. So you can get 6 days of all access, all plays, all sports for the price of 3. It's buy 3, get 3. It's a 6-day all-access pass, and it's a great way. I mean, it's a great way to partner up with me and take this thing for a test ride. The goal is ultimately profits. And I've been one of the most profitable handicappers at WagerTalk for over the last 365 days. So ride with me this NBA playoffs and Major League Baseball season. Head over to my page at WagerTalk.com, WT.buzz/JR. At least go look at that 5% max play that we've got coming up this weekend to kick off the NBA playoffs. So best of luck this weekend. Look forward to seeing you again for another big game breakdown. But in the meantime, check out all the rest of the big game previews that we've got here on Wager Talk's YouTube channel. Best of luck, guys. We'll see you again soon. Cheers.